Welcome back to A Clean Story. Today we have something special. What I have in front of me right now is a sink. Right now you can't really tell, but I'll flip it over in a second. We'll take a look at it inside. But what really caught my attention about wanting to make this video is that this particular piece has three things that it's important to be able to understand, to be able to identify, and as a service provider, knowing what you're getting yourself into once you see it. And as a contractor, also being able to identify what you have so that you also know what service you need to provide. So this particular sink, customer of ours, we picked it up today, and we're gonna refinish it for her, clean it up, get it really nice and gorgeous. I'll absolutely take some after pictures so you can see what the final result is. I'll flip this over, like I said, I'll flip this over in a second so we can take a look at what it looks like now. But the three things going on with this sink. Number one is that it's Onyx. This is an Onyx marble sink. A very, very good way of telling if you have Onyx is if light passes through. I'll show you that in a second so you guys can see how pretty cool that is. So Onyx marble is definitely one of those beautiful stones that you can put as a countertop, you could put on a wall, put some lights behind it, an accent wall, an accent piece, you know, and it's just sharp, especially if you got one that has some beautiful movement in there. Absolutely gorgeous. Another thing that this has that's also rare is what's called book matching. So basically book matching is when you take a marble rock, right? You split it, but when you split it in such a way that it's following a pattern. I'll show you how the artist that put this together followed a book match pattern really, really well. It's really done. So that's two things. The third thing is that this was coated, it was sealed, right, with a polyurethane. And the reason why I say sealed in quotes is because seal is something that everybody has a different opinion of what sealer is, what sealer does, what sealer's supposed to do, how it performs, where you're supposed to put it, pros and cons as far as maintenance goes, so on and so forth. So that alone is an endless conversation in and of itself. So in this particular case, we have three things going on. One, how to determine whether you have Onyx. Number two, what book matching is. And number three, how to identify what kind of sealer you have on whatever material it is that you have. In this particular case, I'll let you know, it's a urethane. I'll show you what it is that tells me it's a urethane. And then I'll go over the pros and cons as far as why you would want a urethane in this particular scenario versus in another. Number one, how to determine that this is Onyx marble. Remember I told you light passes through. So I have a light source here. I'm gonna kill the light in a second. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna light it up over here. And what I want you to look at is I want you to look at this ring over here. I'm just gonna move it side to side so you'll be able to see that light going through. Let me stick this light, boom, there it is. You see that? Gorgeous. Now, I can't put it over here to the side and be able to see inside because it's just a really thick piece of marble. But right over here, and you could see how if you put lights behind it, if you install this on a wall, a countertop, perhaps the edge, along the edge of a countertop, this would be sharp. All right, so that's that. Get the lights back on. Number two is looking at this structure, looking at the way that they put it together, okay? So what I want you to do is I have this on this tarp so that I can easily turn it around. What I want you to do is I want you to take a look at this trail right over here. See how it continues and it follows through over here. Oh, look at that. That is gorgeous. Entire slab. Here's another pretty cool thing to look at, right? This is just one block of Onyx marble where some artists work there. That's definitely something I can't do, but I can absolutely appreciate it. So, but you could see this one big slab. But now, come back over here. I don't know if you could tell, you could see that slice. Right over here is where they actually had to cut a piece. But when they cut it, you can see that they book matched it all the way up to here. Look at this. And it just continues. Look at that. That is absolutely a work of art. Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. All right, now let's determine how I know that there's a poly on here. So I'll flip it around so we can take a look at it on the inside, but I'm gonna capitalize on what you see out here. I'm gonna end up having to move the camera so you can kind of take a look. When I show the camera, what it is that I want you to look at is it's a play with the light. So you have a light source coming, pick a spot. When you pick a spot and I move the camera around, don't follow the camera, follow the light that you picked. Wherever it is that you pick it, wherever it is that the light is hitting it, pick that spot. And I'm gonna try to center it and have one that we can follow. But what you're looking for is you're just looking for reflectivity of light. And in that reflection, you're going to see like brush strokes. Those brush strokes identify that there's a coating. Then the question is, well, what kind of coating? In which case, then it's either epoxy, a poly, or an acrylic. This particular case, you're not gonna use an acrylic. Epoxy, maybe, but hopefully not. But this is absolutely urethane. And with urethanes, they have their little telltales with, it's almost like a candy coat. You know, if you were to get a paint job on your car and you want that candy coat, it has that hard shell kind of a reflection where it's shiny, but it's hard to describe it. You could just see it. It's got that candy coat. And the same thing with urethane. It has like that candy coat type hard shell reflection, but it has those streaks. But then it also has like little air pockets, like little circular holes that is just basically air bubbles. They're air pockets. So if you have an epoxy floor, an epoxy garage floor, and that top coat, they put that UV ray polyurethane on top. Well, that polyurethane, for all my installers out there, you already know that you can get air in there, and that air creates those little bubbles, and you come back, you gotta sand it down, put another coat, so on and so forth. But in this particular case, you'll see those little tiny little circles, which is just air bubbles. And that right there tells me it's a urethane. So, all right, grab the camera, take a look, and then remember, follow the light. You see that? All along, you'll see those strokes. Right over here, got some more. If I play with the light, come up and down, see those? All right. And that's a very good way of telling that you have a coating. Now, what I just showed you right there isn't the telltale of a urethane. It's kind of like, it's definitely not an epoxy, because epoxy is a lot shinier even as the years go on. If you have an epoxy garage floor, you could tell that it's a little bit dirty, but if you go to an area that hasn't been touched and nothing down here, remember this is a sink, so this is the underside, and then boom, there's the identifier that there was air, had a pocket, had a little bubble, urethane. All right, let's take a look. All right, so I got this bad boy flipped over now. Now here's the inside of it, all right? Look at this. That is just gorgeous. So it's just all one big piece of rock. This piece back here where it had that topical piece that they book matched, that's the part where you have that water overflow that comes down. I don't know if you could see it from there, but you see the little spout, the little hole right there where water overflows here, travels down, comes out that little hole down there, down the drain. So that's what that back piece is for, is to contain the water. But this is the inside of it, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. And then we'll continue to take a look for those identifiers of that urethane. And honestly, over here, once we have the light set, you can see a little bit more of those brush strokes, because now on the inside, because it's been used more, you know, obviously than the outside, it began to wear away, which then kind of begins to show you the underlayers of the applications, especially right here. I hope I can get that piece, because that's just clear as day. And then you'll also be able to see, now that I'm looking at it from different angles, you'll also be able to see that candy coat that I'm talking about. It's just crystal clear. So I'll identify where there's a little pocket, those little holes, those little bubbles and see if I can capture that on the camera as well. Wish me luck, see what happens. All right, so remember what I said. You pick a light source and just follow the light. So right there, see how I'm kind of moving it side to side. Right here, let's first identify that big shiny that I was talking about. Look at that, look at that. Oh, that is perfect. With this one, you could see both the brush strokes and you could see that candy coat that I was talking about. Look at that. And then that now begins to tell you, okay, it's absolutely not an acrylic, it's a urethane. And then now we just gotta look for those little bubbles. Boom, right there. See those little holes right there? So focus your attention right over here. You see that? That's those little tiny circles where there was some air bubbles. And then also in the same view, you can also see the candy coat that I'm talking about, and you can see the brush strokes. So there's a lot that you could see in just that little piece right there. And then that's the indicator. There you go. Okay, so that was the indicator. That's pretty much everything in a nutshell and being able how to determine it. Earlier in the video, I mentioned that this particular one, you're not gonna see etch marks. The reason why you're not gonna see etch marks is because there's a urethane on here. And the reason why you'll see etch marks, let's say in your kitchen or any other area of your home, is because you don't wanna have a polyurethane on a countertop. You want to have penetrating sealers. So with penetrating sealers, you have impregnating sealers, water-based sealers, solvent-based sealers, and we go down in another chapter and just talking about different kinds of sealers. But in those scenarios, you would want to have one of those, in which case they don't prevent etches from occurring. Etches still happen, and etches is what you would normally call a ring mark, drip marks, water marks, all those little spots that bead and kind of react when using the wrong cleaner. That's what ends up happening because you have a penetrating sealer, impregnating sealer, solvent-based, water-based, color-enhancing, different types of sealers, but not a urethane. And then that's what this has. So by having a urethane, you actually have a built-on shield on top. And we'll discuss in another video, the cons and the pros to having this shield, things to take into consideration. But in this particular scenario, with this sink, you absolutely want to have a poly on here. You want to have a barrier because this sees nothing but just constant water in one direction. And if we think of what erosion is, right? Erosion, you have water that trickles. And on a soft stone, so marble, onyx, it is a soft marble, it is a soft stone. And when you have constant water coming through it, it's just another form of erosion. And you have a trail, it begins to eat at it. And this sees nothing but just water and soap. So this is absolutely a great application to have a urethane on. After we restore this, I'll take some before and after pictures, maybe a quick little video, see when it is that we get this done. We have about 3 to 5 days to get this done. And in that time being, as long as it doesn't ship out of here before I can make the other video, I'll go ahead and I'll throw that in. Okay, so it's been a couple of days since I started making this video, and for the life of me, I really wanted to catch the technician in action while he was working on this to show you a little bit of B-roll, what it looks like, what the restoration process is. But I'm a little too late. Came into work today, I see it covered up. I already took a look. Looks fantastic. Want to go over what it is that we see, but let's unveil it together. I'm trying to get the lights to hit it. The lights also is not doing it much justice, but you'll be able to see the difference from the before and the after. So first, we'll turn it around, and you could see off the perimeter, off the edge, all of this already looks richer. Now, this side was not getting refinished. This is the underside, of course, but it looks like he applied the sealer on there as well, which gave it that beautiful, beautiful color all the way around and enhanced it. So chances are you used a color enhancer. That color enhancer brings out the beauty and color. So let me capitalize on the opportunity. So difference between color seal and color enhancing sealer is that color sealing is actually sealing something that has a pigment, that has a color. So you're actually coloring whatever it is that you're sealing using color seal. And 10 times out of 10, you're pretty much just color sealing grout lines. Color enhancing sealer is a sealer that enhances natural colors that the stone already has. So if you have reds, oranges, that beautiful greens, and anything that has a vibrant color, it brings those out, makes them look nicer. In this case, brownish, right? So that's what's going on there. Now let's take a look at the inside. Now remember I said I'm messing with the light over here. So as I'm glazing over it, you could see that gorgeous sheen. It's when I go frontwards that you really can't see the shine as much as we can. But you get the idea, you get the difference. Look at that. That just looks gorgeous. This thing is heavy too. All right, okay, so this is the final product. I'll give it another spin. You could see how the whole thing ends up looking. Oh, and actually, rewatching the video clip that I already took in the past when I was going over the subject of book matching. So when I showed you all of this lining up, that was to give you an example of what book matching should look like. Where this isn't book matched because it's actually just one big rock, one piece of rock where an artist created, like an ice sculptor, right? Same thing with this, a stone sculptor created this out of one block. But over here in the back, this is book matching. And this is that piece right over here, that sliver, where this is actually a separate piece that was applied on afterwards, and he followed the contour. So when you have two different tiles that follow the vein or follow the pattern, that's an example of book matching. So this piece here, this plus the stone, the rock, that's book matching. Everything else is just to give you an illustration of what book matching should look like when done properly. And it should look like that, like it's just one rock, one piece of stone. All right, that is it for this. The technician that worked on this was Angel, did a fantastic job. Sheen looks on point, color looks brilliant. So we hope that the customer is happy with the final product. And that's it. All right, so I hope this video was helpful. If it was, please comment, share, like. If you have questions, please put your questions down. Doesn't matter whether you're a DIYer, homeowner, contractor. If you have a question, please put it on there. Again, remember, the objective is to help everybody. This is a share all, help all scenario on this channel. We want to be able to identify things, help people out, give people advice, anything that you can give me as far as advice goes, any suggestions, not only for this channel to share with other people, but also within the company to go ahead and provide better service for customers, because we're always in a state of learning. We're always in a state of changing. Everything is changing. There's a bunch of technology out there that comes out, every day, and we love to be a part of it as it continues to grow and to share it with you. So with that said, thank you. Please like, subscribe, comment below. We appreciate your time. Have a good one.